I'm Dan. I founded Scalise Co., and we make games that donate to animal shelters. I always wanted to make games that make the world a better place in some way, and I thought, what better way than to start with animals? And so I made a couple Corgi games. They're nice and soothing, relaxing, no violence, no stress. You can get addicted to them or just put them in the background, keep them in your pocket. Since then, I've started working on a Steam game, and that's called a Corgi's Cozy Hike, and that's my big thing for this year.
It's time for an adventure in the worlds of user experience and game design. On Season 3 of the Design Thinking Games podcast, join old school UXers and aspiring game designers Michael Schofield, Tim Broadwater, and an array of quirky characters from pixelated heroes to mischievous NPCs in search of the ultimate player experience. Design thinking is a process that is applied to different types of games in this podcast. If you're wondering whether your favorite games have already come up, you can listen through the backlog at designthinkinggames.com. Now, Rapid Protobot, fire the design thinking laser.
How did you get from developer at Amazon to I'm making my own game studio that donates money to pet shelters?
First of all, I loved my time at Amazon. I got really lucky. I had a good team and a good manager, and that really helped grow my skills as a developer, I think. I've always wanted to make games in the past, too, so I was toying around with making games in my free time, but then I learned that Amazon would own anything you created, basically. They would own the IP rights to it and stuff like that back then. And so I just wasn't happy with that, and so I knew I had to leave before I actually started a real project. At the same time, I had a coworker who really loved dogs and was fostering for Dog on Seattle. And so I started learning about the challenges that dogs faced, and I saw how much money games in the mobile space made, like Candy Crush, and where did it all go? Just into some CEO's pocket. And so I was thinking, man, all these small nonprofits need so much help. What if I could make a game that gives them some help? That's really where I got the courage, I guess, to leave my job and start working on it.
The label's Jalisco Games, correct?
Yeah.
How does it work at a high level?
Well, we're just a normal LLC. We're not nonprofit, technically. As I got started, I didn't know much about business, and I thought being a nonprofit would just slow us down. I just have good intentions, so I hope people will see that for now, and eventually I'd like to start a nonprofit and help other developers also donate to charity, since I do know now how much effort it really takes. There's a lot of rules you need to follow, and it's hard just to work with nonprofits in general. They don't have much time, and so anything you can do to help them helps too.
From a UX perspective, how does a junior UXer start or build their portfolio? It's like, please, for the love of God, work with nonprofits. They need all the help they can. What's your first gaming experience that you remember?
I mostly gravitated towards video games, which Donkey Kong Country was my first game, and Banjo Kazooie definitely captivated my imagination. And then eventually, as I got a little older into my teens, I started loving Final Fantasy, and I started seeing how narrative could play such a role in games, and I think that's underused still to this day. And as far as like a tabletop is concerned, I wasn't very social, I guess, as a kid or as a teen even. But once I started working at Amazon, me and my coworkers started playing the Game of Thrones board game when it was really popular, or Avalon is probably my favorite real game, like Resistance. I like those social deduction games and stuff like that.
That's actually my least favorite because I'm really bad at lying. I cannot keep a straight face.
I was trying to get Tim to play Blood on the Clock Tower when we were at PAX Unplugged. I like those games a lot.
Among Us never really got to me because I don't like player elimination. That's why I like Resistance and Avalon, because you're always still in the game even if you lose a round.
That's true. That's good. I never think about that in games like Night Werewolf or things like that. It is like elimination every round or bulk elimination every round or something.
When was the point where you're like, hey, I can make a game?
Well, it's a great question. Whenever I was growing up, I never imagined that I could make games. You know, it just wasn't even on my radar. I didn't know that people made games. It just seemed like they were magic. But I always imagined making games in my head. I'm in third grade pretending to be reading underneath my desk, but I'm actually imagining, okay, Donkey Kong 64 is fun, but it has problems. What if we would do this? Or like, how would we make levels that are like this? It wasn't until the end of high school, whenever I took like a coding class, that I started dabbling in making games as just like little text adventures. And eventually I took a game design class in college, and we made a snowball first person shooter, and that was really fun. After college, I never even thought I could be a game developer, just because you hear in the industry it's just so taxing, and AAA development is just horror stories. And then indie, there's the conception that it's all luck, so you're not going to get successful anyway, so why even try? Especially as a developer, I was making so much money already, so like, why give that up and try to do something that's so hard? And really, I only quit because I thought it would be easier, I guess. So,
But yeah, I'm kind of wondering, like, what's that? Okay, so you're like, I'm going to start a game company, and then you quit your job, and then day one, like, what does that journey look like to, like, rescue pets? I mean, because I don't know what the time is on that, how many years or whatever.
Released it in 2019. Originally, I left my job in 2018, and I couldn't work on it before I left. That was one of the rules that Amazon had in place. I had in 2017 made a small little puzzle game that I never released, and I talked to a lawyer then to see if I could release it or not, and he said, you probably shouldn't. And I was like, really?
You probably
I had a goal.
shouldn't.
Yeah, I had a goal to release a game before my birthday, and I actually succeeded in making it, and so I was like, oh great, and that really built my confidence. And I guess whenever I quit, I was just like, oh yay, it'll be a mobile game, it'll be simple, it won't be that hard. Oh yeah, I was wrong.
So your first game you're talking about you made before your birthday, did you just literally go to the web and what languages do people use? Like, how do I make a game?
I already knew that Unity existed. In my game design class in 2013 or 2012, actually, we used like a proprietary library that was built by some PhD student, and it was not good. The next year they started using Unity, and I felt so betrayed, because I feel like if they would just taught us Unity in that class, I would have been ahead much sooner. I didn't start learning Unity until 2017 for that game, I guess. I played around with Unreal Engine before that, but I just found Unity so much easier to get started, I guess. And I like the asset store.
So I actually worked with a junior UX developer, Catherine, and in college, she actually interned with us and then came and hired on after. We actually had a game design class as like an elective in college. They taught not only Unreal Engine, but also Unity. And so everyone grouped up in the class and made games for their project. That was the semester kind of project, I guess. So that's amazing.
Purely selfish question. I'm also an engineer. How hard is Unity to pick up? I'm super curious. Also, super selfish.
Well, I'd say every year it gets easier and easier. Just a couple years ago, they added a visual scripting language called Bolt, which now they call visual scripting. And that just lets you do coding without actually writing code. So that helps a lot. There's also things on the asset store that you can use to help get started with the things that you might not be able to do, like character controller packs, or as far as like a visual novel type of experience goes, there's a lot of visual novel engines like Fungus, I think that's what it's called. And that helps you a lot because you can just write the dialogue, you can say which character's talking, you can tell it to do what animations, and there's a lot of stuff preset for you. So I think that makes it a lot easier to get started on specific things. But I think if you want to actually make it marketable, you are going to have to really find a good illustrator and probably pay them a bunch. And probably also tweak it to be something more unique to what you need. Because I think most games aren't always cookie cutter. Even a visual novel, I think people are still looking for some unique experience with it.
How big is your team for Rescue Pets or Rock Miner?
Just me. I have one artist. I hired music and sound effects for Rescue Pets. For Rock Miner, we only use stuff on the asset store, though. Now, I did have a couple of programmers that I was trying to hire for Rescue Pets, but it just didn't really work out so well. And I was still learning how to be a manager, I guess, at the same time while I was developing, and so it wasn't the best experience. But for Corgi's Cozy Hike, it's just the two of us. We don't have a musician yet. That's one of the things we're going to do a Kickstarter for. It'll
Yeah,
probably
so
be just the two of us developing it, so that'll be fun.
yeah, can you Corgi Cozy Hike looks very different than all your other games. And then I believe you have a stretch goal on Kickstarter to put it on Switch, is that correct?
Yeah.
Can you talk to us a little bit about Corgi's Cozy Hike?
Oh yeah. Corgi's Cozy Hike is where you're just a little corgi exploring this nice open world. It's supposed to be a bite-sized experience, like a short hike or a little gator game. Just take a couple hours to beat, and maybe 8 to 10 hours to 100%. I just wanted something that would be this non-violent, stress-free experience where people could relax and just walk around, do whatever they want. And I always love 3D platformers. I played old games like Banjo Kazooie or Donkey Kong 64, and I feel like those games always had enemies in it for no reason. Like, it was just so fun collecting things. Even Mario, like Mario 64 or Mario Odyssey, doesn't need enemies. I just wanted to give that a try, and I guess I was always scared of making like a Steam game. I thought mobile would be a lot easier, and it probably was, and it helped me get to where I am, but at the same time, being on PC means I don't have to worry about such low specs. So far, it's seeming a lot easier to develop for PC, and Unity is made for more 3D stuff, and so Rescue Pets was really pushing the limits that we could do on mobile because it was such high-quality 2D art. I didn't expect that. Although these days, I think Unity's better with it. Already in 4 years, it's improving.
What is it like to develop for Steam? I haven't spoken to anybody who's ever done that.
Well, yeah, as far as the preconceptions I had, it was probably just based on these old ideas of people saying it's so hard to make a game. I feel like PC games just have this level of polish that you expect a lot more than mobile games. People on Reddit are very, even in the game dev community, they're very negative towards being an indie, and they say it's just luck. I think, maybe 5 years ago or so it was, when Steam stopped Steam Greenlight, which was their program for onboarding indie games. They started letting anyone pay $100, and then you could upload your game. And then we saw these couple years where Steam was full of these trash games.
But if you bundle all the trash games together and you give them away at a deal,
then you have Xbox Game Pass.
That's interesting.
But then in 2020 or so, they changed their algorithm, I think, and you see less trash games now. And if you go to howtomarketagame.com, the guy there, his name's Chris, he will tell you all about how their algorithm changed, and now they base it on how many wish lists you get. If you get enough wish lists, they will promote you more. And that's their way of filtering out the trash. And so you just have to get to 7,000 to 10,000 wish lists, and that'll help you be auto-promoted. And so we're going to see how that goes. I'm still a little bit too early to see how that works for me.
How does the pacing work there? If you think chronologically from a tabletop card game or board game, here's an idea, I don't know if it'll work, I'm going to start prototyping it, and it's I'll start putting this in front of players, fine-tune the rules, hopefully there's something fun that they enjoy, and then you can kind of tweak, and then when it kind of blind play tests itself, and you don't need to be there, the instructions, it's all good to go, and you have then you're okay, I've got something, now we can kickstart it for the final illustrations, for the final music, for the deliverable. How is that different for a video game, I guess? And then how does wish listing, because I imagine there's the Discord community of your players as well as wish list is really important, but I don't know how it fits in the process.
Well, yeah, the advice I've seen is that wish lists are super critical. You shouldn't really start talking about your game online until you have your Steam page up. And you should get it up early, because the earlier that you're there, the longer you have to build wish lists.
Start with the wish list and a page.
Yeah. And I'd even say probably email lists or something. You have to find some way to build your audience. And it's nice if you can get them in an email list. I'm kind of having trouble with that so far. I haven't really promoted our email list page much yet. It's corgiscozyhike.com. But you definitely want those wish lists, because that's how Steam's going to promote you.
And so to have a successful wish list, let's say on Steam, you've already had to have export some type of image or video of the gameplay to get people to.
Yeah, you need 4
I'm assuming
images.
build a website and all that.
Then you need your capsule art, they call it, it's like the key art for the thing. You don't even need a video, but you should probably have one. But that means you need to prototype something rapidly, and you have to get it looking pretty good just to start with. Like, you don't want programmer art. And that's where it gets kind of tough, because you need to balance, okay, I got to be talking about my game early, but I also have to be
developing and marketing
developing
balance.
instead of, you can't make it perfect. I didn't think that we could make it this far on this game, actually.
All right, how do you play?
I'm going to give you 3 nouns, and you have to pick which you're going to fuck, marry, or kill.
Okay, I'm game. Let's play.
Okay, agile methodology, waterfall, or lean?
I don't know what those are. UX FMK is the hottest UX book on this side of the internet. Tim Broadwater, our very own certified UX unicorn, takes the all-too-familiar premise of the original FMK game and wrote a book that invites you to take a deep dive into UX, what doesn't work, and how royally things can be screwed up.
Listen on Audible or pick up UX FMK anywhere books are sold, but especially Amazon.
We just started working on it in December. I was tired of mobile games, I guess, because Google took us off the App Store. In fact, Rockminer was just taken off the App Store in May because they say that we're not following their family policies, which I don't understand.
What?
Because we do turn off... Basically, they have rules that say that if you're under 18, the ads that you watch have to be catered to your age limit, which we are. And so I don't understand what they're saying, but they just removed the game instead of actually helping us with it. And you email them, they take weeks to respond. And so it's just sad. And so I just got frustrated because they took us down on Black Friday as well. And, we uploaded it and fixed it, but we missed the best sales days in the year. I was upset, and I was like, I always wanted to make a bigger game. I always wanted to make Steam games. I always wanted to make platformers or adventures and have story be more meaningful and a part of it more. And so what if we just try it out, see how far we get in a month? And so every day in December, I released a video on my progress for that day. And before it just started coming together. And there were definitely hard parts in it. I pushed myself really hard. It was a lot of coffee and caffeine, but I think doing a video a day really helped me keep going, and even through the hard parts.
It also probably helped you build following, right? As you went, right?
Yeah, we did get a few hundred YouTube followers at that point.
That's brilliant. If you had to describe to other people what your kind of game design process is.
Yeah, I would say it's very iterative. These prototypes are big, and they're not like technical prototypes because I don't delete the code and then restart. I definitely take the prototype into the actual game. But I think, especially for rescue pets and even Rockminer, there's a lot of iterative process. I spent the first year just learning Unity well enough to even release it. But then once we released it, it was still bare bones, and it was in beta. And so we would see what people said, and then we would make little changes to it and just try to keep tweaking the opening of the game to help improve the retention and try to get more people through the first day or two of the gameplay. And then we go to PAX. Kind of
play testing, essentially,
yeah.
Just to how do we speed this up? How do we onboard people quicker?
Yeah, which we didn't do much in-person play testing. It's mostly I put analytics in the game, and we had a dashboard where we could see how far people get or how long they were playing, stuff like that. And there's only so much you can do with that.
Player behavior is what you were capturing, and going from that. Cool.
And there's only so much you can do with that. And so that's why PAX was so helpful, because we had the demos there and we could actually see what people were doing and say, That's why they get stuck. And that helps so much. I think most is just how you expect them to go a certain path or something, and then they just don't, or they just
I
go this
think this is
completely
like
different way.
every game designer. It doesn't matter if it's a tabletop role playing game or a board game or video game. It's like the players never do what we think they're gonna do.
Yeah, and so for Corgi's Cozy Hike, we had a demo for PAX, and it was like the first time we really showed the game. And every night of the convention, I was like tweaking the level design just to see how it impacted people's.
Oh wow! You could iterate that quickly on it.
I shouldn't, but it's just such valuable feedback.
Sleep during the whole con, probably.
Like the Amazon employee back in me is like, oh no, what are you doing? Don't edit a live demo or something. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. But we only had one hiccup. And so it was pretty good. But it's luck. And it was very stressful. But I'd say it's just such valuable feedback. You got to get it while you're there. We paid to be there.
It's amazing that you get both behavioral analytics, but then also doing the in-person playtesting as well to actual observing and moderated. That's super cool.
That's why I would suggest going to conventions. Like, even if you can't go to PAX, still there's like local conventions or like local meetups or something where you can get playtesters. I know like in Seattle, you have Seattle Indies, and they're just an amazing organization that has so many events, and it's so helpful to get feedback.
How do fans get connected with you? How do they learn more about Scalise games? Or how do they get to the Corgis Cozy Hike Kickstarter, the wish list?
Well, the best thing is corgiscozyhike.com. You can also go to scalisco.com, and you'll find us there. You can subscribe to our email list, and that's how you can join our mission. We send images of the dogs that we rescue thanks to our players' support, and so that's a nice way to see how we actually make a difference. Which for our mobile games, we donate 20% of everything we make. And for a Corgi's Cozy Hike, we're going to be donating 10% of everything we make because Steam takes 30%. You can Google a Corgi's Cozy Hike and probably find all the links for the Kickstarter and Steam. You'll definitely want to wish list and follow it. And we do have a demo coming soon. And so if you want to play that, the people who will have access first to our demo will be the Discord followers. That's also on corgiscozyhike.com. And we have a nice little wholesome community there that is small, but, people are friendly, and I definitely enjoy it. Well, our Kickstarter is coming real soon, so definitely give us a follow on that. And if you're seeing this after it's already out, go ahead and give us a back. We've got plenty of tiers. You can get your dog in the game. You can get your name in the credits. You can get real physical merch and stuff, so at least check it out and share it with your friends, anyone who likes dogs or games.
So can you speak to like the Switch goal? I'm just so curious, like designing for Switch and looking at what that's like, and the thought there. Can you speak to it at all?
Well, I love the Switch so much. It's such a great console. Like, it's so fun playing games on handheld. It's fun putting it in the TV when you're ready. There's just so many cozy games on it. Like, we definitely fit right in. And so many people have found us at PAX and said how they want it on Switch. So we want to be able to give it to them. And so that's one of the main reasons why we had to do Kickstarter for this, because Switch is definitely harder to develop for because it has, a lower end processor and stuff. And so that's why the Kickstarter helps just so much.
That's amazing that people said that. That's actually from real user data, real customers saying, like, we want this. And it goes to not only, like, the cozy part of Switch, right? The game you can play in bed or, like, anywhere. But it's also, like, there is something that we've been noticing, I think, on the show about games that are just more a meditative kind of thing. I know popularity of games like Stray and Tunic and other games that are, I even log into Fez every now and then just to be like, I just want to chill, relax, low-key gaming vibe. And there's a lot of games now that are coming out, I feel like, with that feel.
That's exactly my goal. I want to give people a more relaxing experience. I don't know, since the pandemic started, something in me just kind of broke where, like, I tried playing Elden Ring and I was just like, ugh, I would love to explore this world, but I just don't want to deal with the battles. Like, I'm already so stressed in real life. And I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom right now, and I'm just like, I don't really want to do the battles too much. I just want to explore this cool world they built. And Zelda gives you the freedom for that. And that's why one of the big things in a Corgi's Cozy Hike is going to be these like more cozy spots, I call them, where you can just sit in a beach chair and relax. There might be some things you can edit in the environment, like build a sand castle or change the colors of the buildings or mushrooms. And I just want you to be able to sit there and relax and listen to music. Do you know those like lo-fi videos that people watch and do work with? I'd love if people would just sit down and if I'd inspire them to put down the controller and like draw something or journal or go do that work you've been putting off.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Alex.
And my name is Diana.
And we are 2/5 of Critically Stupid, a comedy Dungeons & Dragons podcast with new episodes every Friday on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. If I had to pick, I'd probably say my favorite NPC in the show is Sean the Gorilla, who I decided in the moment wears pants, a waistcoat, and spectacles. Diana, who's your favorite NPC in the show?
My favorite character is Captain Davelstar Song, because in my head, y'all, he's fine AF and makes me feel a certain way.
If you'd like to experience Diana red-faced and sweaty in real time, catch us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you enjoy that sweet, sweet content. You can catch updates on our Twitter @CritStupid.
Come watch me glisten.
I love that this is going to be audio only, so listener, you're going to have to take my word on it. She's real good looking.
Fire, no time to rest. Put your knowledge to the test. From gaming to UX, it's all a fair game. Answer right and you'll earn your fame. D12, D12, roll the dice, answer well. D12, D12, will you triumph or fail? With 12 questions and a whole lot of fun. D12's the game that's number one.
You said this is kind of like 12 questions. It's called D12, and it's questions that's going to just left field questions. But if you've worked in product development, UX, design, gaming, any type of gaming, this will make sense to you. Are you ready to begin?
I am ready.
Okay. So your first one is you roll an 8. What is your favorite card game?
Man, is it awful that I'm thinking Uno?
No, it's not bad. I still have Trace. I bought, or not Trace, Dose, the sequel to it, and I've not tried it yet. Yeah, it's supposed to be fun. But no, Uno is a perfectly valid answer.
I was in Vietnam last month, and I played Uno, and it was like Vietnamese Uno, and they had these weird rules, like Twister. I had no idea what it was. But we just made up our own stuff since we didn't have internet at the time, and it was really fun.
That's cool.
It was nice and simple, you know?
That's great. Okay, next question. 1. What is your favorite design tool?
Ooh, design tool. Honestly, just like OneNote. Like, just like being able to organize your thoughts in OneNote. You can actually like make like little maps and stuff. It's pretty freeform. It's not just straight down. So like you can make images, you can draw in it on a Surface tablet or an iPad, and like that's just really nice. You can type in it, you can do both at the same time. I like it a lot.
Cool. Next question. 3. What game should everyone play at least once, in your opinion? And you're not allowed to say anything from Scalise Games. So.
Yeah, you can't be like rescue pets.
Definitely rescue pets. Think of the dogs. I know I'm just playing Zelda right now, so that's like the first thing that comes to my mind, because like the Zelda series is full of gems. I think like Ocarina of Time, Breath of the Wild.
Sure.
Like they're just masterpieces. And they've like reinvented gaming so many times that it's crazy.
Any particular Zelda, or just all of them are good?
Well, my favorite is Twilight Princess.
Oh, nice.
But I could understand if people didn't want to do that one. The wolf one.
I'm very proud that I've played and beat every single Zelda in existence.
Oh, nice.
Except the new one, Tears of the Kingdom, which I'm currently playing. And most people do not like Majora's Mask or Skyward Sword. I find out Skyward Sword is especially disliked, but I love them all. I think they're all great, and I think they do push gaming every single time.
I love Skyward Sword too. And you can see how much it pushed gaming because even Tears of the Kingdom's taking from it.
Yeah. All right. If you could make up any professional title to give yourself, what would you call yourself? What would it be?
Like a sorcerer, like someone who makes magic, you know, something like that.
That's awesome. Okay, halfway there. This is the sixth one. What is your alignment? Like in video games, and Dungeons and Dragons has alignments too. So, what is your alignment?
Well, I'm very lawful, I think. I like following the rules. And I don't like to be evil, maybe. Maybe. So I guess I'm neutral.
I love it. Okay. Next question. What is your favorite genre? Like fantasy, alternate history, horror, action adventure. For you, what is your favorite genre?
I think like not like medieval fantasy, but like really strange fantasy. Like Final Fantasy X is my favorite setting.
Yeah.
So like it's something you don't see, like that kind of world you don't see anywhere else. Or like Xenoblade. Like, oof, that gets me very excited.
That's I love Xenoblade with the giant robots. I think that was Chronicles. And then you could actually have your whole team have 4 giant robots that fly around. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Next question. What is your favorite game villain?
I'm going to have to say Kefka from Final Fantasy VI.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a very good one. Happily just poison a village for the company. Yeah, yes. He's pretty evil.
Yes, he's fun. He's evil. He actually is present throughout the story. He surprises you. He's threatening too by the end. Mm-hmm. So I love him.
The next question is 8. What is your favorite game hero? Any type of game, but favorite hero.
Well, it's staying on the Final Fantasy trend. I love Squall from Final Fantasy VIII. I think I love that you can see inside his thoughts. And, I played it whenever I was a teenager, so I perfectly understood with his, teenage angst and, the way he wants to avoid, certain social situations or responsibility and stuff. And I just love how he grows throughout the game and really starts taking control. I think his coming to age is really well done.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Also, the gunplay, right? You had the gunplay.
Oh yeah, and it's cool.
Yeah. All right. Next question. What is the most overrated game?
Oh boy. How many wars should I start?
If you don't want to say anything spicy, you don't have to put it on audio. But we've had previous things like offered that I don't want to taint your response, but I can say people's answers are all over the place. Very popular, mainstream to very specific. So
we might be able to get in a very heated discussion about Tears of the Kingdom.
We'll do it.
Like, I'm having so much fun with it, you know, and I'm addicted to it, really, more than I should be. But I'm just so disappointed that I was hoping it'd be more like I don't know, I think Breath of the Wild is a little overrated too, personally, but I have fun with it.
What
I just
makes
really
it
like
overrated? Because
I don't know, I just miss the storytelling. Like, I think linear games have a place, you know, and I think if you can just beat the final boss from the beginning of the game, you lose some of that. Like notice the Breath of the Wild trailer, the Tears of the Kingdom final trailer, where they had this big cinematic experience of, like, it seems like this is going to be this really emotional journey. But then you see it all in these, like, memories of the past, and it's just like, okay, you know, it's a good story or anything, but imagine if this was actually happening now, and I was actually, you know, fighting Ganondorf, like, in real time, and there's this war going on. It'd be so much more epic, and I think that's what I'm missing. Like, I think you can still have open world, you can still have non-linear design, if, you know, there's just more, like, epic moments built into the present day, I think. Like, that's why I like Twilight Princess so much. It feels like just so epic. And even Skyward Sword, like, the story is so good.
Yes. Like, I tend to drift away from open world for that reason. The narratives, I prefer strong narrative to freedom, I suppose, right? Because it's really cool to wander over here and do this, and wander over here and do that, and look at that mountain. It's neat in theory that I could walk for 15 to 20, 30 minutes to get to it, but I want those story beats, right? And so
I think there's games that do really well balancing those two. And when you see games like Event Horizon or God of War, or like the recent God of Wars, to where it's like it's open world, but it has such a good story. It is a delicate balance instead of just feeling like you're performing tasks in a walking simulator.
Yeah. Like, I think there's, like, such a big space in between the rigid linearity of Skyward Sword and the crazy too open Breath of the Wild. And I think you can still have the openness, but still have a linear narrative in it. And you see that Tears of the Kingdom is, like, almost trying to do that, but for some reason they just didn't want to, like, fully commit to it. And I think if they
for you, because I've actually, even though it is my go-to default to play when I play a Zelda game, I do not just do the main story, and I'm actually forcing myself just to do the main story in Tears of the Kingdom because I want to know the story first, and then I can unlock all the unlockables or whatever, which is normally what I would dive into in a Zelda game, but just because I want to know what's going on. So yeah.
And then you get the memories out of order, and you get things spoiled for you, and the characters in the main story quests aren't, like, they don't realize that you already know some secrets about the history, and they, like, pretend that you don't, and so that's, like, weird to me. Like, honestly, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, for all of their technical flaws, I think the way it did its story was actually pretty good, because you could do all the gyms out of order, but they still, like, added up to this story, and I don't know. I find it funny that Pokemon somehow
got it right.
got at least the story aspect more bright than Zelda.
Yeah, Pokemon gyms were always railroady. Like, you have to defeat them in this order, and that's the order you're exploring the world and the towns that you're in. And then,
And then just the fact that it's the same world as Breath of the Wild. It's like, I already did this. It's the same, like, okay, there's 4 main story quests, there's 12 memories, go get. It's just the same thing we've already done, I think. So funny because I still love it, but I just am disappointed by it just because we only get one Zelda game every 6 or 7 years now, so I want it to be what I want.
Okay, so 3 questions left. Next question is, what is the most enjoyable game you've ever played?
I think Mario Odyssey. I think just bouncing around in Mario Odyssey is just so fun. It's just delightful from start to finish. I think, I do wish there were some harder challenges maybe near the end or optional, but it's just such a joy being in that world.
Flip to the previous one. What is the most underrated game?
I know we've been on the Zelda train a little bit, so might as well keep on going. I think Skyward Sword is hella underrated now. I don't know what happened. When it came out, people loved it. I know that the motion controls can turn people off, and I can understand if they don't like it, but I mean, I had trouble with the motion controls too, I feel like they work about 90% of the time, which is not enough. And I wish it was actually in modern day VR. I feel like that would make it really come together. But besides that, you have the hand holding with Fee and stuff, but whatever. The story's fun. I love the little light romance between Link and Zelda. I love Groose. I like that the dungeons are pretty well designed, especially the Sistine Temple or the one with the whip.
People didn't like the nunchucks because when you had to actually hold up a sword to block or shield to block, and then you had to. People did not, and you're right. If you 90% of the time, and if you had Christmas lights or mirrors where you were playing, it would even be worse.
Yeah, so they super ambitious with it, and people say that they're not ambitious, but they were trying to reinvent gaming there. It was your first where you could actually hold a sword the whole game. It was crazy. And
the story's so good too because I believe it's the origin of the Zelda timeline. It's still, there's nothing that predates it. So
yeah, and I there's definitely, it's not the best Zelda, and I don't like how they reuse bosses, and other stuff, but I think it's really fun to go through, and the time puzzles are my favorite. And the Sand Sea, ugh.
So final question of the game, most difficult question. You fail your last death save. You are dying. What are your final words?
Get out of your comfort zone. Life is short. Gotta go quick. Go do what you are afraid of. That's how you'll grow the most.
Here. Memento Mori. Yeah.
That's great.
Get ready for the game that's hot. D12's what you've got. 12 questions gotta be quick. Can you handle it? Can you stick? D12, roll the dice, answer well. D12, will you try and forfeit?
This season, we really promise Design Thinking Games is going to be more active on various social media. We understand as aged Gen Xers / millennials, elder millennials, that
Wait, I'm firmly rooted in Zennial. I am a Zennial, so I am right between Gen X and Millennial.
Okay, as a Zennial and a Millennial elder, we are we acknowledge that. Look, our social media game for the last 2 seasons hasn't been on point, but this season you're missing out if you're not following Design Thinking Games on the 3 T's: TikTok, Twitch, and Twitter. probably in that order, as Twitter is a dumpster fire. Well, on TikTok, you can actually see Ben shooting some like excellent, like just like footage of some like of the really cool and interesting games we're playing. As you know, we look at games clinically and deconstruct them to the point of no longer being enjoyable, but that makes for some really good footage. The other thing you'll find there are like this kind of like network of amazing indie designers who we are interviewing, some of whom, or we're interviewing on this show for the season, and we're all going to be engaging there. We'd love for it. If you're into user experience, if you're into the player experience, if you're into the craft of game design, if you're into us, design thinking games.
Previously on Design Thinking LARPing. The other groups of people who were previously crying start to cheer as they see the LARPers charge toward their imaginary enemy.
I told you, he's LARPing against the LARPers, and he's doing a damn good job at it.
Design Thinking LARPing is a story about heroism. The script is written by a poorly trained AI, and it is performed by your poorly trained heroes. Enjoy!
As the group reaches the castle, they are met with fierce battle. The LARPers swing their foam swords and shields, while Rapid Protobot fires imaginary lasers from its eyes. The battle rages on for what seems like hours, until, finally, the sorcerer is defeated.
We did it!
Well done, my brave knights. Your bravery and skill were vital to our victory.
What we do now?
We celebrate. Let us feast and tell tales of our victory.
Michael and Tim watch, while Rapid Protobot leads the group in celebration, and can't help but smile as they see the once lame LARPers now filled with joy and excitement. Rapid Protobot may have been designed as a prototyping robot, but in this moment it has become much more, a leader, a hero, and a friend to us all.
The LARPers haven't restored power after they pretended to make a dragon attack.
It's probably not safe to start a fire here, but we must eat.
I hope Rapid Protobot is okay.
Find out in the next episode of Design Thinking Games the fate of our heroes, Tim, Michael, and, of course, Rapid Protobot, the most delightful of the three. The story continues.
Thank you for listening and connecting with Design Thinking Games on TikTok, Twitch, and Twitter. You can also check out designthinkinggames.com to request topics, ask questions, or see what else is going on. Until next time, game on. Any final thoughts for our listeners, Rapid Protobot?
Destroy. Destroy.